I was kind of mad also that I had been caught. I knew that I wouldn't wouldn't be able to explain this one away. There were several hours where she was alone. I left her in our hotel room overnight alone and didn't realize it until the next morning.
Laura McCowan's daughter, Alma, was just 4 years old. They were at her brother's wedding.
I had passed out, woke up somewhere else, that I wasn't with her. She left the hotel room early in the morning because I wasn't there, and she made her way to my mom through hotel staff. She asked me where I had been, and I just said, I'm so sorry, but it will never happen again. I knew in that moment that it was a turning point.
One she never saw coming. Laura had a successful career in marketing and an active social life.
I had by all standards, a really successful, sparkly, good-looking life. I lived in a very affluent town north of Boston and made good money, and I had plenty of people and friends and family that wanted me around. I was a marathon runner. I was a yoga teacher on the side. I mean, things looked really good.
Laura admits she was always a casual drinker, but after her daughter was born, something changed.
I remember feeling like the alcohol didn't work like it used to. It stopped working, so I would drink more.
And she wasn't doing it alone.
Amongst my mom friends, we all drank together. We drank with our kids. And I remember going to a 1-year-old birthday party, and they didn't serve alcohol. And we were joking about what BS that was.
According to the National Epidemiologic Survey on Alcohol and Related Conditions, between 2002 and 2013, the number of women who consumed more than 4 drinks a day rose almost 60%.
Women often drink to cope. So to cope with stress, to manage anxiety. And what's happened, I think, in the social media culture is that women are really being targeted and encouraged to drink. They're seeing drinking, especially wine, as a classy, safe, and almost healthy way to cope with things.
Jennifer Richards is a licensed psychologist and clinical director of Maryland Addiction Recovery Center. She says this cultural trend is enabling moms to drink.
Calling wine mommy juice is a lot easier to cope with than to talk about the fact that we're using drugs to manage our feelings.
If you're worried you might be falling into this trend.
So I think a good test that anybody can do is to not drink for a week and see what that's like.
For Laura, it was clear
that I would lose everything. I would not have custody of my daughter. I would not have a life that I wanted to live anymore if I kept drinking.
From that night of her brother's wedding, it took her over a year to get sober.
It gets better initially because you're not causing new damage. There's this relief. Gets better, and then it gets worse. And then it just gets different.
Now, almost 6 years later, she is a published author, and she also writes an internationally recognized and award-winning blog and hosts a podcast talking about recovery.
So much of this is shameful for people, and they think that they're the worst, and they're the only ones having this issue. And so talking is critical, even if you're just talking to one other person.
And for Laura, what helped her is this simple question.
Is this good enough to stay the same? Whatever behavior it is this good enough? Is my life good enough? Is my situation good enough? Is how I feel good enough to stay the same? There's always someone to compare yourself to and go, I'm not doing that, right? Flip it. Is this good enough?
I'm Megan Gilliland, Fox 45 News.